Are you looking to learn how to build high performance, high availability connectivity to the AWS cloud? Well, if so, this video is for you. Please subscribe and hit the bell to be informed of new cloud computing training videos every Wednesday. Hi, my name is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of Go Cloud Architects, an organization dedicated to cloud computing training. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that I'm very passionate about, and it's about building high performance and high availability connections to the AWS cloud. So let's first think about how you connect to the cloud. And most people know you can use a VPN or you can use a direct connection. So let's first discuss why you would use a direct connection. So a VPN connection, which everybody's aware of, is basically you take your location and you connect it to the AWS cloud and you create an IPsec tunnel and you encrypt your data, and therefore you can also share routing information across the VPN link. So it's a private link over the internet. And it works great. But the problem is internet performance is not guaranteed. And if I have a gig connection to the internet, that does not mean that the rest of the internet service providers along the way have that gig available to my traffic. So for one thing, it's with regards to you can't guarantee bandwidth, but you also can't guarantee latency. See, when you connect to the internet, what ultimately happens is your traffic goes across multiple internet service providers to reach its ultimate destination, and you can't control someone else's environment. So when you're dealing with a direct connect, what you're going to find is you have higher performance environments because you have consistent latency, so you won't have to worry about variations in latency called jitter, or you won't have to worry about, the bandwidth not being there. So the direct connect gives you a performance benefit. But how does a direct connect work? It's not like you just buy a wire from your data center directly to the AWS VPC. So let's talk about it. So in your environment, your on-premises environment, you're going to have a router. And the router is going to have a WAN or really wide area network or a metropolitan area network MAN link to something called the direct connect location. So ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to have these high performance points of presence, and these high performance points of presence, Amazon has a tremendous number of racks of routers and switches and the such, and then they have a high performance backbone that goes actually to where their VPCs would be, or inside of an availability zone for which your VPCs would be housed. So you've got your environment, you connect to a direct connect location, the direct connect location then connects you to AWS, and that then connects to your region and availability zones inside of there. So that's typically how your direct connection works. So if you need high performance, a direct connection is going to be your way to go. And you're obviously going to need backup. So for many organizations, they can use a VPN backup. But what if the VPN is not good enough? And what if a single direct connection is not good enough because you need more bandwidth? Well, these are the things we're going to be talking about. So with regards to direct connect locations, if you need redundancy and a VPN is just not going to cut it, you have a couple ways that you can do it. And some options offer greater performance and some offer greater redundancy, and there's a way we're going to show you how to do both. So if you can't get away with a VPN to run your backup, what most organizations would do is they would take their on-premises environment and they would connect to two disparate direct connect locations, just like we've shown you in this graphic. And by doing that, they're on two different internet service providers and they're in two different direct connect locations. So if a single point of presence were to fail, you're covered. If the router sitting in the single direct connect location were to fail, and these are high redundancy routers, again, you're covered through the other direct connect location, and it's through another service provider. So if a service provider has a failure, the other service provider might be there. And that's how you would typically set up a super high availability environment where you would have redundant network connections, in these cases redundant direct connect connections, across different internet service providers, different switches, different racks, different power. Typically what you would do. And before we get into the super high performance option, let's talk about the routing. Let's say you have a connection, you're living in the US and you have a connection to the direct connect location through AT&T, and you have another direct connect location through another internet service provider, Verizon. Now they're connecting through different direct connect locations and you're connecting through different service providers. So that's going to create a bit of a challenge if you're going to route your traffic. And if it creates the challenge, what could happen is the latencies are going to be different on internet service providers. And generally speaking, with BGP, you're only going to take one route unless you do something about it. And BGP will pick, it has a decision algorithm, weight, local preference, shortest number of AS paths, and so forth. And the BGP decision algorithm is basically going to allow only one of those links to work. So if you have a direct connect through two WAN links through different direct connect locations, you're going to have to do something about your routing. And we're going to show you what to do right now. So in your VPC, you're going to have a CIDR range. And that CIDR range is going to basically be an aggregate route or a summary route of all the subnets you potentially have. So what you'll do when you have multiple direct connects is through BGP, you will advertise across both links in both BGP peering sessions the same summary or aggregate route, which is basically network layer reachability to all of the subnets inside of your VPC. Now, when it comes to routing, the more specific route will always be chosen over the less specific route. So what you'll do is on your two links, let's say we start with the top link. On the top link, you will advertise some specific subnets over that BGP peering session. And on the bottom link, what you'll do is you'll advertise some other specific subnets. So what you can see is by doing it this way, each BGP peering session will have some more specific routes to certain subnets. So what will happen is the traffic will traverse to the more specific routes from the on-premises environment to your VPC. And by doing that, you can now load share because you're dealing with two sets of different sessions, and different subnets are going to be shared off of different BGP peering sessions. But you're still putting in that summary route or the aggregate route, which is basically your VPC CIDR range across both. And that way, if either one of the links failed, you'd have network layer reachability for everything. So that's how you could load share across multiple connections, across different direct connect locations. But what if you needed some higher performance than that? What if a 10 gigabit Ethernet interface to AWS direct location connect location isn't enough? What if you need 2? What if you need 3? What if you need 4? Now what are you going to do? Well, for those of us that have been working in the switching environment, we had something called port aggregation protocol. And basically what it would happen is you could take 4 10 gig links and bundle them together, and it would logically look like a 40 gig link. But in order to do this, there are going to have to be some special things. The links are going to have to be the same speed, the same size, and the same latency. So you're not going to do a link aggregation group across multiple service providers. It's all going to be on the same service provider. But by doing this, you can bundle up to 4 ports in a link aggregation group and make it look like a single port. So because it's a single port, you're not going to have any worry about out of order packet delivery. You're not going to have to worry about things like fancy configuration of BGP along the way, if you're only going to use one of these connections. But in general, if you're in the place where you're actually doing link aggregation groups, you're probably going to have to do another link aggregation group through another direct connect location. Because if you need 40 gigs right now to get through on your primary connection, what's going to happen if you fail over into the VPN to maybe a 1 gig or 10 gig internet connection, and then you're running a tunnel? So link aggregation, you can take multiple groups and you can combine them together. And if you're going to take multiple link aggregation groups and combine them together, that means you want to load share again. You're going to have to do the same thing that we talked about with regards to routing, where you're going to advertise the CIDR range off of both links, and then on one BGP pairing session, you'll advertise a more specific route to a certain subnets, and the next BGP pairing session, you'll specify, or you'll advertise specific routes to specific subnets. So, and that's what you would do to load share. So we've talked about why you would use a direct connection versus a VPN connection. We talked about redundant connectivity with regards to a direct connection with regard and a VPN backup. We've talked about using direct connections and another direct connection to back up your environment. And then we talked about load sharing over multiple direct connections through BGP. And then we talked about link aggregation groups. And then we talked about load sharing across multiple sets of different link aggregation groups across BGP peering sessions. We hope you've enjoyed this video today. Please download our free AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate ebook the link is in the description below. And every Monday, we offer free 90-minute sessions where people can come and they can ask us any questions about the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate Exam. It's a passion project of mine because I remember when I was studying and I couldn't afford training, there were things that I just didn't understand. And having the ability to ask questions live to one of our instructors, it would have made my life so much better if I had someone that I could verify with things when I started learning about the technology 20 some years ago. So that's why we do it. We look forward to seeing you in another cloud computing video next Wednesday. Thank you so much.